see if Facebook cooperates now. There we go. Build that audience,
Yay.
Facebook. Oh man, second time is the charm. Facebook just wasn't working a moment ago for me. Basically sums up my day, quite frankly. In the interest of full transparency, I had if there's a wine shortage in Denver right now, it's my fault because myself and some friends drank all the wine in Denver yesterday. So I feel, there's a saying in the South, actually, I feel like warmed over damn it. Damn it is just not good enough, you gotta heat it up. I'm warmed over damn it. So I'm drinking Coke, which I never do, out of a Broadway sippy cup from Disaster the musical. I thought that was appropriate.
Love it.
Disaster. So we are here at my kitchen table that I never eat on with Dawn. Is this our third or fourth? It's our fourth one of these?
I think.
January, February, March, April. So it's our fourth this year.
There
it's
we
our
go.
fifth
Yes.
total.
Yes.
So there we go. I'll let Dawn introduce herself because y'all know me.
Okay.
And a lot of you actually do know Dawn now, but go for it.
My name is Dawn Winkelmann. I'm a speech-language pathologist and feeding specialist, and I'm here to talk about feeding issues with kids with autism, as well as some sensory issues that you might encounter as well. And we all know that Jamie has some sensory issues too, so this is going to be fun to kind of like put him out of his, comfortable environment with some sensory stuff, and just, talk about all things sensory.
Dawn likes to she pushes my boundaries when she's over here. But that's fun. It's fun to have your boundaries pushed. You can't grow if you don't do that. Oh, wait, I need to get my other phone.
Okay.
Dawn, talk some more.
Sure.
I just realized if I don't have my other phone, I can't get the questions. And those are important.
So sometimes I can see if I lean close to see questions in people, and so hi everyone. But he has much better vision than my old eyes, so if you're saying hi to me, then I can't see it sometimes. So
I had it on the kitchen counter.
Yes.
So we'll get to those questions later.
Okay.
So this month's topic. Because April is Autism Awareness Month, we had this planned. We're going to talk about feeding issues related to autism and other sensory things that are going on. So I'll let you lead it.
Okay.
I let Dawn take the reins with these. So.
And then put him in these awkward situations. So it's perfect. It's perfect.
And make sure you're hearting this. We need some hearts.
Yes.
I like to see a stream of hearts every now and then.
Thank you guys.
And make sure you're following her on Facebook as well. She's tagged
Thank you.
in the caption. So let's do this.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about a variety of different sensory issues and some products that I love to be able to encourage my kids with autism or without autism that have some sensory challenges, to be able to get them to feel a little bit more comfortable before we get into a feeding environment, or feel comfortable while we're in that feeding environment. And so I know that there's a lot of OTs out there that are joining us today, and I just want to say thank you for your amazing profession. Occupational therapists are the leaders in the field of sensory integration issues, and so hopefully I will do them justice talking about that today. I actually have taken 20 classes in sensory integration from occupational therapists, so I feel pretty strong in my sensory knowledge, and again, hats off to the field of occupational therapy for teaching speech-language pathologists like me about the struggles with feeding and with sensory. So just to kind of let people know what sensory is, because it is such of a weird kind of topic and really hard to understand. When we're talking about the way that kids view the world in feeding, or kids with autism that have sensory issues, we're talking about them experiencing the world in 5 senses that we all know, like touch, taste, smell, vision, hearing, and that they might overreact or underreact to those sensory stimuli, or they might actually sensory seek. And we'll talk a little bit more about those things. But there's also 2 more senses that the field of occupational therapy really talks about, and that's proprioception and vestibular. And that's basically where your body is in space. Where do you, if I'm pushing you, like where's your body? If you're grabbing some of your gummies, how hard you're grabbing into that bag, how hard you're pushing it, you know, you're not trying to break the bag or grab too many, or if you're like getting a disposable cup, you're not crushing it too hard. And where you are in space, you know, making sure that you're sitting in with good posture, or that if we're, you know, swinging on a swing, or a variety of different places in space, especially kids like on high chairs, where they are, they kind of don't know sometimes. So there's a 5 senses that are our traditional ones, plus these other 2 that kind of encompass sensory integration.
And I can't spell those, but we'll put something up.
Yes. Yes, we will. And so when we're talking about that in the feeding environment, if kids overreact, so it's a sense of smell and they overreact to that smell and may not want to eat, that's a sensory issue. Or they may underreact. So you feed that, you place in, you know, a delicious meal, and for whatever reason, they just, their sensory system is not stimulated enough, and they just kind of refuse the food because they're really not, they're understimulated. And then there's those sensory seekers that will actually like stick their hands into the oatmeal, but not really eat the oatmeal. So there's a variety of different ways. So we're just going to kind of base on that and kind of talk about that a little bit.
So by the overreacting, it's like with me. There are certain foods I smell and I will vomit.
Yes.
Beans. Mustard, I don't like it.
Yes.
Bean kind of stuff. Like growing up, when my mom used to cook and there were beans in it, I would try the beans because I had to, like a good child should, and I would vomit. It is the taste and texture thing of like a mushy bean.
Yes.
Some foods just gross me out, and it's so weird that like you can have a gag reflex like that to just barf.
And I can say to you, come on, it's not that bad, it's not that big of a deal, but it's because it doesn't challenge my sensory system. That it overstimulates your sensory system, which I love mustard. I could just dip my fingers in it and lick, lick, lick. Because for me, I need to have, because I'm understimulated when I'm eating, I want to have Tabasco sauce or hot mustard or extra garlic.
What did you put on when you were over here doing a photo shoot? You had this like peppery stuff that you put on a mango.
Yes.
And I ate it.
Yes.
That was good.
Thank you. That was delicious. So in the Mexican culture, we put a lot of like chili powder on fruits, and so to kind of stimulate saliva production, because basically saliva production is the start of digestion. So if we can put a little bit of some chili powder on fruits and vegetables for kids, it stimulates the saliva, and since it stimulates the saliva, it makes them want to eat that fruit or vegetable a little bit more. So it's a sensory skill that I actually use in feeding, because the more that we can stimulate saliva production, the more that child might want to crave food. So
interesting.
And then it's just, you know, culturally, it's something that we really like. We like a hat.
I like spicy food.
Yes,
I love spicy food.
Me too.
So let's play with some things.
Yes. Okay. So let's start with Neds Head. So I don't know, for speech pathologists and OTs, if you're out in the crowd, you know Neds Head. For parents, you might not know it. You can get it at like Target, Walmart. But Neds Head is one of my favorite sensory toys. And again, sometimes I'm playing with a toy to kind of calm a child's sensory system down. Maybe he's nervous knowing he's coming to feeding therapy, and I have to kind of just say, oh, we're going to work on foods in a little bit, but let's just play a game. And kind of calm them down a little bit to get them centered so that he'll be able to focus. And so what is cool about Neds Head is that he's so gross and disgusting that kids love it. So you get to pick in his nose, if I can find it, and find things, or pick in his ear and find things. And what's cool is that this is a really fun sensory game because you can't see what's in here. So Jamie, I'm gonna have you put your hand in there, and I want you to find the dirty diaper. So there's a dirty diaper in there, so it's all gross stuff. So feel in there, and so again, you're using all these senses, right, to try to figure out what does a plastic dirty diaper feel
I was like, is it really like... And
so you just kind of have to feel, and yay, you got it! Show
dirty diaper!
Dirty diaper!
Dirty diaper!
So it just really challenges their sensory system. It is a little bit of fun. And then there's some vomit in there. You know this all too well. So it's like this hard, gross, like, and you found it!
Oh, first.
it's just fun. So there's toys that come with Neds Head, but then also I will put things in there that if there's like things that we're going to try to eat, like, an apple, then I'll put like a play apple in there,
Okay.
and so that they're coming out, and then I'm like, oh, an apple, wow, and you know what, we're going to try apple today in feeding therapy. Ew, a Q-tip.
Gross old Q-tip.
Yeah, gross. So Neds Head can be a really fun way to kind of explore different sensory situations, as well as be able to explore new foods in a different way. So
A rubber alien.
it's all just weird, gross stuff, and kids just love this. So
Ned's Head.
Ned's Head.
Okay.
And so if you want to see the box, it's like this, Ned's Head. And it comes with cards, so you can actually say things like, okay, there's a giant ant in there. Okay, Jamie, find the giant ant. So sometimes I like to use the cards, and sometimes I just like them to try to just really feel it.
Is there an ant? I don't think there's an ant
Oh,
in here.
maybe there's not an ant in there. Sometimes they take things out. So how about a tongue for a speech pathologist? Is there a tongue? His face.
I found a tooth.
Oh, yay! So it's a fun sensory game to be able to explore new things.
Fun.
Yeah, I like it. So, and then we can even put real foods in here too. So sometimes I'll put like a fruit or a vegetable that's, like a, tangerine or something
Yeah.
that hasn't been peeled yet, and we'll explore it and kind of open it up, and it's kind of fun. So that's one thing. There are a few items here that I
We
love.
have a lot of toys.
Oh my gosh, I have so much stuff. But if you have a child with sensory issues or autism and you are not getting this catalog Fun and Function, you definitely want to get this catalog. Some of the toys that I'm going to show right now are from them, and they're amazing. So this is the At the Beach weighted sand kit. So basically what's in here is a whole bunch of sand and some beach toys. But the sand feels really different and interesting. So feel in there and try to find a couple of these toys. And again, this can calm a child down to kind of focus and feel like they are actually working, because you're having to really like get in there.
Yeah,
and just
I thought it was going to be more like kinetic sand.
Yes.
And it's
right.
not at all.
No. So it just makes you kind of work for it a little bit, challenges your sensory system.
Crabs.
And it's just a fun, again, calming, but with sensory issues, this might be calming for one child, and for another, and for another child, this might be gross. So you have to find what is great for your child. Because sometimes I'll use stickers as a reinforcer, and some kids don't like the stickiness of a sticker, and it's not a reinforcer for them. So you want to find something with their sensory system that
You
actually
really,
makes it,
you
gotta
gotta
get in
dig
there
at this. Yeah.
and kind of play with it.
Yeah.
And it just can really, give that extra work that sometimes kids really need to be able to focus and have fun. And again, I'll take out some of these toys and put in like pretend, food and vegetables and stuff like that, and put that in there and be like, oh, you found the hamburger. Hey, guess what? Let's work on hamburger today. And so try to kind of prepare my kids for what's going to happen in the feeding.
Now, this is really interesting because it's not,
Yeah,
I was really
very
expecting
different.
kinetic.
Yes, it's a very different kind of feel.
Yeah.
And again, some of the kids, when they play with this, now they have some on their hands and they're like, ugh. It really does focus more on their sensory.
Fun.
Yes. So let's do that one. And then I want to talk about some sensory timers. So this is another tool. You can make these on at home. There's a whole bunch of Pinterest ideas. But this is another sensory tool from Fun and Function. And basically at the bottom here is a whole bunch of glitter and a little bit of sand. And this is clear, as you can see. But as I turn this over and kind of shake this up, you can see how this just turns into a really fun sensory toy. So, it really stimulates a child's vision, and you can also use it as a timer, which is what I will do with that. I will put it on the table, and it just, as it kind of settles, I'll say, we're going to play for a little bit, and once this is all done, we're going to work on some feeding stuff. So it kind of prepares my child to go, okay, we're going to work on feeding, we're not doing it right now. It gives them a kind of a visual schedule for them to be able to say, oh, when this is done, we're just going to play right now, but then after that, we're going to, try peanut butter for the first time or something. It kind of gives them that time to be able to figure that out. And different timers, so this is more of a visual one. This is another visual one. This is 5 minutes. You can get these at Lakeshore. So there's like 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you just turn the timer over. And
I love an hourglass.
Me too. There's something about it that's just
It's
fun.
also, it goes back to when you're a kid and you see The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
That hourglass is so important and it
Yes.
means so much.
Yes.
And
Good
there's
one.
just something so satisfying about an hourglass.
Yes. And it just, it calms a lot of kids down and it allows me to go, okay, when this timer is up, we're going to clean up this toy and we're going to work on some feeding. And it just, again, just gives them a moment to do that. Time timer is another timer that I like, and it's a visual schedule. So if I'm setting this for 15 minutes, visually they can see the red, and then it will slowly but surely start to have the red go out, and then when there's no more red, we're moving on to our next activity. So this is a nice way to kind of visually stimulate a child, give them that sensory input that they need that can be really fun. So do we want to stop there, or should I keep going?
Keep going,
Okay.
keep going.
All right, so good. So
We've got an hour.
Yes, okay, great.
You brought all the things to play with, so.
Yes. So with this activity, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes.
Okay.
And I'm going to touch your face with a couple of different sensory tools. And then you just tell me what you think of those. So these are two little bean bags that have kind of a rough feel. It's like almost like corduroy.
I'm so ticklish.
Are you? Oh, I didn't know that.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So is that calming or stimulating? Is that overly stimulating?
It makes me, it's tickly.
It's tickly. Okay. Okay, how about this one?
I hate the feel of like fake satin. Is that what
Yes,
it is?
that is fake satin.
It's like, to me, it's like, when you buy like a cheap sleeping bag.
Yes.
I had a really good sleeping bag when I was a kid. It was He-Man. It was awesome. But when your toenails are just a little too long and you get in that cheap sleeping bag and it gets hung in the fabric.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
yes.
that's too much for me.
Two more.
I like that one.
Okay, awesome.
Is that just like canvas?
Yep.
Or what is that? Okay.
Yeah. And then this is one that's really soft.
Wow.
Yeah. So look at these. This is the one that you liked.
Okay.
And these were the ones that you didn't like. And again, I thought that actually he was going to like all of these, this touch. So again, as a therapist, I'm like, ooh, I was way off. He only liked one of these. And I thought he was actually going to like all of them. Yeah. And so what I think that might be calming for him, it wasn't. So sometimes you have to play with this stuff and kind of see what a child likes. And what I'll do is sometimes I'll make a sensory basket and just have the kids kind of go through, and I'm like, what's your favorite thing out of here? And then you might say, this. And I'm like, okay, then that's what I'll use in the therapy sessions. So it's kind of fun.
This reminds me, when I was in college, going through voice and diction classes, when you're learning the IP, the International Phonetic Alphabet, we had all the letters, and they were different colors and different fabrics, and it was part of class to like rub your body with the schwa, and how did it make you feel? Super weird. But all of the textures and colors were so good that you associated a texture with every letter of the IPA. And that would be kind of interesting for you. We come up with great ideas.
That is. So I had to take the same class, but I didn't know. I mean, for us, it was like we had to transcribe all kinds of things, and like to hear the sounds, and it's really, really hard.
I never memorized it. It's really hard.
It is, and to have to write in it and transcribe, especially what a child says. So if I do an hour of speech therapy for a child, I have to transcribe everything that the child is saying to figure out what
they're transposing and everything.
Exactly.
Oh man, that's
It's really
bananas.
hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So so this is a nice sensory toolkit to be able to figure out what kind of touch a child might like. And again, I'm trying to go through all the different sensory systems, vision, auditory. So here's smell. How does this?
I love lavender so much.
I do too. So lavender just calms me down.
I've got lavender bath salts.
Yes, me too.
Give me some Epsom salt.
Everything
lavender.
lavender.
Man.
And this smell really helps my children with autism.
Yeah.
Lavender tends to be a really good scent for them. So I always have some lavender.
It really is. Yeah. It's like crack or something.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre because you could just smell lavender and you calm down.
Yes.
One of my hotels last year, they had a little lavender bedside kit. that had like a little aromatherapy like thing you can rub and like rub it on your temples.
Nice.
And I still travel with that. So when I'm like cracked out and I need to
Love
relax, which is
Love
frequently.
Pretend, audience, that you're smelling this lavender. Like, and then how that just makes you feel. Like,
It's sense memory. It's like.
it is so good. And then you just tend to take deep breaths. And so if I have a kid that really enjoys the sense of smell, I really want to kind of pounce on that. So if I'm giving the child a food, let's say I have a food in front of you that's challenging, and I see that you're starting to get anxious, but I know that you like lavender. I'm like, let's take a breathing break.
Yeah.
Let's take a breathing break. Okay, now let's continue. Like, and it just can kind of calm a child down enough to stay at the table and not take off, and just kind of give them that moment. Or, and as a therapist, I can, help them struggle through these issues. But then eventually I want to just keep that here and go, here you go, Johnny, here is your preferred food, and here's a new food, and if you get a little nervous about it, you can always take a sniff of that. And then to let them start to be able to, handle their own sensory needs and give them that independence. Because we all find ways to make our sensory system work when we're going to different
have
places.
to use lavender all the time
Yep.
because I have horrible anxiety. And it is like the best thing in the world to just like calm you down.
Yep.
It's so good.
Yes. And I have to have earplugs in and an eye mask when I'm traveling because I'm an auditory learner, and anything auditory just will keep me up, and my mind will just
I
go,
turn
go,
my
go, go.
headphones on, the noise canceling, but I don't even listen to music.
Just
to drown everything out.
Nice.
I will
that.
use that while I read on a plane.
I need that.
And it helps so much.
Oh,
It really does.
because my ADD brain, if I hear something, then I just start thinking.
Do you have any Bose?
No.
Oh, I have an extra pair. I'll give you one. I have an extra pair. It's the best. Because I have the Bluetooth now.
Yes.
Because the stupid new phones, you can't use the cord. So I have a corded pair that is like almost brand new because I had that for like a few months. And then I bought the new one. So game on. There you go.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Last time I
Christmas.
gave her ice cream.
I know. Oh.
I introduced
best
her
ice
to the
cream
magic of graters.
I've ever had.
Graters, it's my jam. Thank you, Elisa Evenflow, for my yearly treat that arrives in dry ice.
Oh. I am not a dessert person. I'd rather eat another type of food than dessert, and I coveted that ice cream. I was like licking the sides. It was the best gift. But I have a funny feeling this is gonna even be better.
Yeah. What else?
Okay, so if you have a kid with sensory issues, you probably have a child that has difficulties with seams. And this is a company, Smart Knit Kids. This is a company that actually makes seamless socks, seamless shirts, anything that can drive kids batty because it doesn't actually have seams. So the child can put on these very soft, amazing socks, but there's no seams to it.
And there's a good bit of, maybe just because my hand is too big, but there's a lot of compression in it.
Too.
I like that. And I'm going to, I tell you what, I have to start wearing my compression socks now when I fly again. I need to order more.
Yes.
Vim and Vigor is the brand I love.
Them.
I love them. They're cute.
I have
if you
them
gotta
on
wear
right now.
compression socks. You wear compression socks
Yes,
right now?
I'll show, because you remember how we talked about my feet, and so I have compression socks on right now.
Ah.
I love them.
This is called Smart Knit Kids.
Yes. And they make a whole bunch of different ones, and you can go to their website, smartknitkids.com, and they have different sizes for, they have the ankle, the crew, the knee high for the socks. They have, undershirts for kids
Did you
to
say,
be able to...
wasn't there like an underwear as well?
Yes, there's underwear.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a variety of different brands, but this brand, I love it when they give me a demo so I can actually show parents like, hey, how does your kid feel? And just how you were saying, oh, there's compression.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll put this on a child and they're like, oh, Miss Dawn. And immediately I'm like, okay, Mom, you gotta bite these, because you can tell that it makes them feel, again, knowing where
their legs are in space.
Look
Got
at
it.
you! Ha! And
nailing
so,
it.
He is nailing it. So it just gives them that extra. So if you have a kid that kicks a lot and has like all these sensory issues at feeding, put on some of these socks, have them calm down, not kicking so much, they can actually focus on their food. So this is another amazing.
You know what I played with the other day? Are those fidget cubes.
Oh,
They're satisfying.
Fidgets.
That fidget cube is so good. It's just like, you want to dial it, you want to play. What are these?
A fidget. This is one of my fidgets. This is one of the things that I bring to, and it's just, you just bend them.
Yeah.
It's like, and so when I take continuing education courses, I'm there for 3 days and I'm learning about things, and I personally need to have a fidget. And this is one of my favorite fidgets because it's a travel size.
Yeah.
It's called Build a Bender by Hog Wild. See if you can see.
You know what I love is Crazy Aaron Putty. The Crazy Aaron Thinking Putty.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that feels good too.
Have you played with the magnetic one?
No.
The magnetic one is nuts. I have one in there at my desk that's the hyper color. It's like the old sweatshirts you get at Penny's that would change color when you sweat.
Whoa.
So they have the putty that is hyper color as well. It changes colors with your body heat. It's so good.
Ooh, I think I would like that.
It's fun.
Because I like the fidget's this, you can see. It's like just a weird bendy fidget. And I just like it going around my finger. I just like the pressure of that. So I'll take these to a conference because it's very tiny and portable. And this is something that I'll actually use with kids too, that trying to sit at the dinner table, we're trying to get them to not run around. And I'm not a big toy person during mealtime, but if we need a fidget to be able to kind of put this on
So
them
be it.
and they can eat, totally fine.
You know, I like to wear a rubber band too.
Oh,
Isn't that weird?
yeah.
I love a rubber band. When I get
so it's
anything
just-
in a
yeah.
rubber band,
You
I'll
just
immediately put it on.
Huh. I have a thing with rubber bands because my dad.
We are going to post the companies and stuff.
Yes.
Don't worry. And I will actually take a photo of this as well before we leave tonight, and I'll post the photo. That'll be easier.
And I will also be watching our old ones and writing a blog for Guidance Guide with
nice.
all the products too
Okay,
for things
cool,
too.
cool,
so
cool.
it'll be double. There's a lot. There's so much stuff I know.
Yeah.
So fidget. This is a really good fidget. Here's another fidget by Fun and Function.
See, that's my jam right there.
And this is basically what they told me was it's old goggle. Like, you know, when kids would play with goggles,
Yeah.
and you're at the beach and you see these kids like chewing on the goggles and playing with that. So they made this bracelet that's just kind of bendy. Again, you can just play with it, squish it, squeeze it, pull on it, and it's just got that nice tension. If you can see that a little bit closer, it's just fun.
Yeah, that
And
feels good.
It feels good, right? It just feels good. And if we like put it in our mouths, it'd just be nice. And again, what I like for my kids that are sitting at the table, or like for my kids that are actually school age, this is a nice way for them to kind of chew, still stay at the table. Chew, still stay at the table. So it's just something that can just kind of calm their sensory system down, allow them to eat, and be able to still have this fidget readily available. And it looks cool. Some of the fidgets that you want to chew on just kind of, they look kind of babyish. So if we have an older kid or a school age kid, it's just too baby. But this is actually, this kind of looks cool, right?
Yeah.
Looks like those 80 Bengals, you know, if you're around for the
very
80s.
80s.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, right? And it's just fun. I'm going to just put this one on. And just to go back to this one, you can see how quickly that went down. So that's a nice timer. Now you can see that. Should I keep going?
Keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about like this guy too.
Oh yes, let's do this. So this is Milton, and here's the box that Milton came in. It comes with a book, and he is just the cutest little thing. And again, you just heard me say I'm not a big toy person during mealtime, but mealtime can also have a mealtime companion. So Milton sits there with you while you're eating, and what I love about Milton is that if I have a child that, let's say I'm putting some broccoli here on your plate, and Jamie does not like broccoli, and he actually is nervous about broccoli, and he's having some sensory issues because of the broccoli, and I'll say, oh Jamie, you don't have to eat the broccoli, give it to Milton. So then he's touching it.
The broccoli.
Yes.
And you put it into Milton.
Yes, so now we've got him to touch it, interact with it. You didn't vomit, you're okay, everything's fine. Milton's eating the broccoli, and then we can wash Milton out. He's easy to wash and clean. And he's this mealtime companion that just allows kids to be able to get into the sensory aspects of food and be able to pick that food up and engage with it. And again, what happens usually when kids are putting food in Milton, watch my mouth. If I'm getting a spoon and I am feeding Jamie something, whatever it is, and I'm doing that, watch my mouth, not Jamie's. I'm gonna do this and I'm like, see how my mouth reacted to that? I'm like, and what happens is that when a kid puts food into Milton, they're also moving their mouth. They're like, so they're actually having the motor planning and the sensory aspects of actually eating that food because they're moving their mouth and their structures as well. So it's a really nice modeling approach for being able to start
that's also one of your magic little spoons.
It is.
It's got these ridges on the bottom so you can tell where the tongue is.
Love them. So this is Johnson Therapeutic Spoon, and so it's got these ridges at the bottom. And yeah, hi Des. Yeah, get Milton. He's so cute. So this is a really nice sensory spoon, and a couple other sensory spoons this is from Mealtime Notions. They have bumps and ridges on the edge too, and it's a bendable spoon, so you can dip it into foods and kind of explore them. And then this is the Easy Spoon, and this is by BeckmanOralMotor.com, and it's just itty bitty tiny little taste. It's just a little bit more than a tongue depressor, and so it's just a little. If I was to offer you a little bit of mustard on this, or mustard on this, and say you have to have a little taste of mustard for whatever reason, it's just a little less intimidating.
I don't like a mustard.
So let's try some sensory.
Okay.
So Easter's coming up, and this is edible grass that you can find at your store. And
I thought it was made out of apple, and it's not, because that doesn't make sense.
So let's put a little bit there and taste this. This is a new sensory experience. Neither one of us have ever had this before. Oh, it's a little, I thought it was going to melt, and it's a little...
It's chewy.
It's a little chewy.
You got to work at it.
Wow. That is
not
very
bad, though.
different. Yeah, I was not. I really expected that to melt, be a meltable food.
Yeah.
What is that like? That's like, what's the texture?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know a texture. I don't know a texture like this.
It's made out of like all different kinds of flours, right?
Yeah, cornstarch, potato starch.
It is like an ice cream cone material. You are
Oh
absolutely
my gosh,
Stacy.
that's it.
Stacy.
That's it.
Yes,
That's
it is
it.
like a cake ice cream cone when it's that weird like.
Yes, that's it.
That's exactly it. That's
Man.
exactly it. Stacy got it.
Oh, you rock. Yes.
It is like an ice cream
And
cone.
Stacy's an OT, of course. She got
fair
it.
enough.
Oh man, that's it.
That's really interesting.
That took me a minute.
That'd be fun for like a fancy dessert or something.
Right,
You'd want to make like
right,
a fun
right.
like
Yes.
a bird nest
Yes.
and have some of
yes.
that in it with like some chocolate eggs.
Yes. Perfect.
Maybe a brownie.
Perfect.
Something ridiculous.
So that was a little bit of our taste sensory system. So we've done some vision, we've done all kinds of stuff, right? So I'm going to give you a taste of some tactile stimulation. So this is a blowgun. It's got this little Nerf, like little tubies, and you take it so you can actually work on blowing. And I'm working on my body positioning pressure, and I'm going to shoot you with that.
I'm a wuss. Listen.
Here, you can shoot me back. So we're giving a lot of pressure and being able to kind of. Ow! Wow, that was hard. Good blow. So this is a really fun tool, right? Is being able to kind of challenge, a child to be able to like take that pressure and blow this, and it's fun. Again, if we're eating and we need to take a little break for a second, this gives us a lot of work to be able to blow and give that sensory system, and it's easy to take apart and clean. So I like
Sometimes you
this
get
too.
some slobber up in there.
Sometimes you do.
Slobber. That's a great word.
And sometimes our kids, they don't have the best oral motor skills, which we'll talk about in some other video. So keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
What time is, I'm looking at the time. Oh, we're so good.
Okay, great. So again, Easter, hiding things in Easter eggs and having kids open them again. They're having to work to kind of open that Easter egg, pop that out. And what I like to do is put yet another sensory toy in there. So in here I've got this little, wind up rabbit toy that they can see, things that only last for a couple seconds. And then we go back to working on.
I like that egg. It looks like a carrot.
Yes, it's so cute. So I try to get like a whole bunch of different eggs so that, try to keep the kids stimulated. But here's a little carrot egg. And here's my little wind-up toy. So, and again, trying to take a little break. If the child is eating and just needs just a little break, I'm like, oh, let's open up an egg. I really like how you're, working or chewing on that food or whatever it is that we're working on. If I'm working on chewing or if I'm working on him trying to take a piece of something and put it in Milton's mouth, trying to not give them a reward and not try to stop the mealtime, but if I can tell, you start to know your child that, oh gosh, they're getting anxious, oh, they're gonna wanna leave, they're gonna start screaming, just a nice little break, and then we kind of keep going. So also working on some blowing is, again, when we're working on our respiratory system, we are actually challenging all of our body to be able to do that. So when we're working on the blow guns, it was like, taking that deep breath again. And we know from studies that the more that kids take deep breaths, like with the lavender, with the blow gun, the more they're able to calm themselves down. Because you struggle with anxiety, I do too, and it just kind of gives us that, extra breath, that oxygen, kind of calm ourselves down. So this is another activity I'd like to do. It's a weighted eyeball, and so we just put that on the table and we just blow it across the table. Nice. And it just gives them that 1 second, again, something quick, little break, so we can start working on all the things that you can do it. Yes. And gives them just a moment to just kind of like work on that, take that deep breath, keep going. These are also weighted vegetables. So this is carrot, broccoli, and they're weighted vegetables, and I can have the kids squeeze them. They're like bean bags, like really heavy bean bags. Again, it's food related, it's a nice food toy, but I'll also say if I can see that Johnny is just really having a hard time with this meal and I need to kind of up the ante with keeping him to stay there, and I'm like, I love how you're eating that cereal. See if you can eat the cereal with the broccoli on your head. And now it's like, I just got him to stay at the table. Yeah. Right?
It's a challenge.
Exactly. Oh, you just ate that. Let's see if you can take a bite of that carrot with the carrot on your head. And then it's just, again, just now you know where you are in space. Where's your head in space?
I don't even know if I could do that.
If you could take, well, let's see. Let's take a little bit of this and pick that up and eat it. While you're balancing that on your head, look at you! Ah! You know where you are in space. You're working on your entire sensory system, right? And then you're kind of like knowing about your breathing, how hard you're chewing that, what that tastes like. It just really intensifies all of your senses, right? Let's see if you can continue to do that with the banana, on your shoulder.
Banana for scale.
So just... there you go. And it's just, again, these are very easy, inexpensive toys that can just kind of work on that sensory system and something that kids will do. So
I like weight.
Me
even
too.
Even in the summer, I like to sleep with a heavy quilt.
Yep, me
like
too.
I like that weight when I'm in bed. But I won't have my feet under it.
Right,
Every time my feet go
One
right
has
out.
to go out.
My feet go right out because my feet get hot, and
It's
I know
a temperature gauge.
It's that, and it's claustrophobia.
Yes.
I do not enjoy it.
I am with you on that. Also, we have a little Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer nose, and this is visually stimulating. If I'm working with a kid that has autism or sensory issues and we're working on eye contact, you can't help but look at me because I have this on.
Somebody just said, can we do this once a month? We do.
Yes.
We do this once a month. Yeah.
Yay.
Selling it.
Giant.
What else?
So a couple more things that we'll go through.
And then I'll pop on and get a couple questions.
Okay, great.
There are certain things we need to address here, such as this and this thing over here soon.
Yes, okay. So Neat Cheeks is another product, my hair is all over the place, product that I like. Because some of our kids do not like to have their mouth wiped or their face wiped, but yet, you know, these kids have sensory issues and they're overstuffing, they're taking a whole bunch of food and they're just shoving it into their mouth because, again, they can't feel it. They may not know where their mouth is in space, so they're taking a whole bunch of those Cheerios and just shoving it into their mouth so they kind of know where it is. And so then they have Cheerios all over their face and their sensory system is not letting them know you've got stuff all over your face. So, and they don't like the feel, just like how you didn't like the feel of that stuff on your face. They don't like the feel of it. Well, Neat Cheeks is a sweet little treat. It's like a baby wipe, but it has...
It's flavored.
Exactly.
Is this the spearmint one?
I don't...
One of them is a mint flavor.
Yep.
One is mint, and then they have a peach one.
Yep.
As well.
I like the peach one.
Yeah.
And it just is a little flavor, and so kids are more likely to let me wipe their face. Or actually, I can put that if I'm like, oh, are you all done, Johnny? Here you go. And then they can learn to wipe their own face because it doesn't bother them as much.
The first time I ever put these up on my Facebook, there were people that were like, why would you ever, and I get it, I didn't understand it until I used it, and it was like, why would you want a wipe with stevia in it? Like, that's gross. But we used them on Veda whenever she would have a messy face, and she didn't mind because of the flavor. She didn't mind having a rag all over her.
Right.
You know, so I totally get these.
I love them for that. For our sensory kids.
And they're based here.
Yeah,
they're a Colorado company. Woo!
So it's Neat Cheeks.
Neat Cheeks.
Yeah. And then I'll go to this one.
This made me so happy.
Both of us love horror movies.
We're horror movie nerds.
And my favorite movie of all time is Aliens S. I like Alien. I've read the book.
They're two different genres. They're just two different genres.
Totally.
One is sci-fi horror.
Yes.
One is action sci-fi horror.
Yes.
Aliens is an action movie.
Yes. So they have a Facehugger. And I have this Facehugger plush that I love it. So I play an Aliens board game, and one of my friends bought this for me for my birthday, and so whenever a Facehugger happens in this board game, that person has to wear the Facehugger.
That's so good.
Right? It feels good.
It's like, I am, what's this, is it Kane?
Yeah,
the first one?
Good one, yes.
Yeah, Kane gets this on his face, and then at dinner it pops out.
Right. Yes, it's so good. I will save you.
They tried to get it off with that laser thing, and it's acid in the blood. We know better than that.
Yeah.
We know better than to shoot the aliens now because of acid.
Acid for blood. Yeah.
Who knew?
And then Ash. Oh, bad guy. Okay, so...
This is from Think Geek. Duh.
Okay.
I love
them.
Think Geek.
Yes.
Think Geek is such a cool site.
If you want one, Think Geek. So I had to bring that. That's a really good sensory tool. So, and then lastly, I've got so much stuff, but lastly, I want to showcase puppets to be able to have that nice sensory too. And what I love about some of these puppets, this has Velcro, if you can hear that, in it, so it really gives, can I have your hand?
Yeah.
It really gives some different feedback.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? It just but it's, for some of my kids, I'm like,
I like it though.
Me too. I like it too. I like it too.
Oh.
So I'll be like, take another bite, Johnny. Takes another bite. I'm like, nom, 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 good job. Chew on that, nom, 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 good job. And it just, again, gives them that tactile experience to be like, oh, I'm chewing my food. Because a lot of our kids with sensory issues don't chew. They take the food and they swallow it. So, can you hear that? It's got Velcro on it. So, it's nice, a nice plush. You can find different puppets with different Velcro.
I love the big fan of a puppet too. There's what's the one puppet company? They make this amazing hermit crab puppet, and it has like an actual shell, and you can put the hermit crab. You get the hermit crab, it goes out, and it's actually really scary. It's great, but then it can go back inside the shell.
Oh,
it's really good. It's that Feldman. Is it Feldman Puppet Company?
I don't know.
I think it's Feldman's.
It looks like I need to have.
Folkman's. Yeah, it's something like that. It's like the puppet company. They're so good. They make such good puppets.
Looks like I need to have one. So here's another one. It's again a different feel. You can feel like this texture is just like a little creepy. It kind of feels like a spider. And you can
I didn't realize your finger was in there. Yeah. Oh, that's abrasive.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And so it moves. You can shake it. It just makes a lot of like weird.
I don't like it.
Yeah. But some of my kids love the sensory experience. So puppets can be a nice fun. And again, using hands and things that you can kind of stimulate their hands, because I want their hands to go into the food. I want their hands to touch the food.
Yeah.
You can see where all this is kind of going. So we'll kind of stop there. But so much fun.
This
I
is
love,
so sensible.
I love sensory.
I'm going to go on here and try to pull a few questions out for you guys.
Great.
Oh, we have a lot of people right now.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I didn't go through and find questions prior, so I'm just kind of cold finding these right now.
Okay.
My friend JJ from college, her son has autism.
Oh.
And she just commented, "Thank you for doing this."
Oh, thanks, JJ.
Here we go.
And while you're looking for...
There are no questions on that post, so I'm going to have to go to the live video. Everybody
Okay.
was just super excited.
Excellent. While you're looking for that,
Yep.
I want to talk about, if you want more information about sensory disorders, you can find an occupational therapist in your area who specializes in sensory integration. You can also do some podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts that has to do with occupational therapy and sensory integration, and specifically, is glasshalffullot.com. That's glasshalffullot.com. And their last episode has to do with sensory disorders and sensory integration. And so it's just a fabulous, easy 40-minute, listen to a podcast if you guys are podcast listeners. So
I like a podcast every now and then.
too.
I really do. Everybody's asking where the blow dart toy is from.
Oh, you know what? Let me see. Sometimes I buy this stuff and I don't know. It almost fell out of me. It doesn't say on here.
No.
I will find. I wash and sanitize my toys so much that
It's called
probably...
Poof. It's called Poof.
Oh, you found it.
There's
Great.
a registered trademark right
perfect.
there. Poof. Poof. Blow dart gun.
Perfect.
Poof.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's really, I really use this toy a lot. I like it a lot. Was there?
No, this app has not been updated, so I can't even scan through the comments and questions on the video live right now. So we'll just play with some more stuff.
Okay,
and you
then
can talk about some things.
Type it over again if you need
Yeah,
to, so he can
if
see
you
it.
if
And I've
you
got more
have
stuff,
you have questions, leave them. We're just living our lives.
Okay. So bubbles is another fun sensory activity. Again, using that respiration to kind of blow to be able to get kids to be focused. So this particular bubble set is from talktools.com, and it holds a bubble while you're waiting for a child or an adult to blow. And so it just gets them to focus, and it's nice, again, little break, right? So we're taking a break, we're doing something oral motor related, and we're kind of moving on. Is there a question?
What can distract when they constantly want to drink?
Oh, instead of eating.
And it's all some medical has been rolled out. It's all sensory.
Okay, great. So what I do with my drinkers is that I will use little shot glasses, like your Celine Dion shot glass.
I have a lot of shot glasses.
And I will put those in front of the child, whatever amount that you feel is adequate. So maybe 5 shot glasses. And we'll put our plate out there, we'll put the 5 shot glasses, and we'll say, when we're done with our meal, we can have a little bit more to drink. But they get to see, the thing about shot glasses is that they get to see how many drinks that they have. So it lets them go, oh, I'm gonna, drink a lot, because it looks like a lot, but it's really not a lot of amount. And we want our kids to be able to eat more than drinking, right? So that I like the little display of like kind of shots in front of them, and so they feel like they still have adequate enough liquids. Now, as long as it's not something swallowing related. So there's a lot of kids that, remember how we were talking about overstuffing or unable to chew, or they pocket. Pocketing is kind of like...
Somebody also had a question, how can you get them to stop cheek pocketing?
Okay, great.
So.
I'll talk about that too. So what pocketing is basically the child tries to chew, but they don't have really good tongue movement in their mouth to be able to grab that food and take that food out of the cheek and be able to redistribute.
So it's
food.
not like they're squirreling on purpose.
No.
It just gets over there and gets stuck.
They can't feel it.
Oh,
They don't know where it is in space.
I didn't know what this was. Okay.
They don't know where it is in in space. So you can tell them all you want, you got food in your cheek, but if you can't show them how to do that, so I will teach kids how to do that. This is how you take out pocketing. You can either take your finger, which is appropriate at home, obviously, maybe not so great in a restaurant, but we're trying to teach these kids to feel where their cheek is in space. You take your finger and you can do a finger sweep, and you can go in and do that, or you can do it as a parent and go in and say, look, Johnny, have a mirror in front of them, maybe go to the bathroom and go in and say, look at all that food. And when they actually see it, the more that they see it, the more that they can understand that that's there and that they might have to do that themselves. So once we start to do this finger sweep and we help them with the pocketing, then they can start to do it with their tongue and tongue sweep that to get that out. But a lot of our kids that pocket, they don't know where their cheek is in space and they don't know where their tongue is in space. So it's really difficult for them to actually take their tongue and lateralize that or get the food out of that. And then some of our kids will actually get stuck in the pockets underneath their lip. So they may not pocket in their cheek, but they'll pocket underneath their lip like chewing tobacco, or they'll pocket underneath their upper lip. So you have to kind of get up there. So then I'll have to teach them, like, you can go up and around and get all the pockets. The other thing is that sometimes if kids pocket in their cheek, they actually pocket in their throat too. So our throat is not this nice smooth surface. There's tons of pocketed areas. So if you've ever had popcorn stuck right here in your throat, it's not because your throat is not, smooth. It has all these little crevices and stuff like that. So I teach kids to be able to take a drink of water, turn to one side, and swallow. Take a drink of water, turn to the other side, and swallow. You're clearing out those pockets on both sides of your throat.
That's interesting.
And it's kind of knowing where your throat is in space. So if you've got a kid that pockets, you might want to have like a nice hot tea or a warm tea or a lukewarm tea, depending upon their kids, and have them do that, kind of swish it in their mouth, swallow one side, swish it in their mouth, swallow on the other side. Now they know where their throat is in space. If your kid is not like hot temperature or warm temperature, you could do cold. So you can have a sip of like some cold water or some orange juice or a little bit of ice cream before you start the meal, so they kind of wake up that throat and that sensory system. They know where that is in space, and then they can start eating these other foods.
There we go. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea at all. Sensory and biting. It just popped up.
Sensory and biting.
How do we deal with that?
So that they're actually biting, or they're biting people and things?
I don't know. Just based on the question, I will assume that they are biting things.
So a lot of my clients with autism that have some sensory issues will bite themselves. And it's, we want to get them, the first thing is that if they're actually biting themselves, we want to get them from not biting themselves to biting something else, which is why these bracelets and other fidgets are wonderful for that, because they can go from biting their hand and what's called self-injurious behaviors to biting something else. That's what we want to start doing. So then because if kids bite themselves, sometimes they tend to bite other kids.
Well, she just said biting people and themselves.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And if you think about a bite, it really does relieve a lot of stress. Like, when you're craving popcorn, potato chips, something that you just want to crunch in your mouth, crackers, you're usually doing that to kind of relieve some tension.
Really?
Yes.
Because I did that with a whole box of Wheat Thins the other day. I love a Wheat Thin. Stop this. I just want that crisp of a Wheat Thin sometimes.
Yes.
And they're so good, but I don't remember them being so pasty. Like you eat too many and they get all stuck. You're like...
They're pocketing in your mouth because you forget after a while. You have to pair it with something.
Yeah.
And then you know where it is in space.
One of my favorite things to eat also is Ritz and peanut butter.
Ooh, yeah. That's
Isn't it good?
I would agree with that. Ooh.
Oh, by the way,
I love that.
I think I've talked her into getting an Instant Pot.
Yes. Oh my God. Sold.
I'm obsessed.
I'm sold.
I made pulled pork the other day. I had some for lunch. I'm probably going to have it for dinner. The Instant Pot is my jam right now. I'm in all the Facebook groups. I'm bookmarking my recipes. It's going to be the Instant Pot guy. Denver is my new business, apparently.
I love it.
Because I'm just obsessed. I'm so into it.
I can't wait. I actually had to see it for myself because I watched the video, but I had to see it for myself.
It makes me nervous. It still makes me nervous when I first start to use it. Now that I've used it a couple times, it's not as bad. But that first time you start it and you're waiting on that pressure to build up, and you're like, oh my God, go, 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 go. And then that little thing pops up and it's good. Wow. You're good to go. but I actually hid behind that wall over there by the bathroom. I hid behind the wall for the first time.
Yeah. Because there's all those, fail videos with pressure cookers.
Man, I don't need an accident in my apartment.
No.
I mean, I got the renter's insurance, but it doesn't mean I want it.
No. So going back to the chewing.
Yes, biting.
And biting. So what I like to do is find something that they can chew. And so now this is just my own personal preference as a therapist. I work with a lot of kids who tend to be violent and they'll bite me. And I don't pull away. Mm-hmm. So that's my personal thing. And I'll tell the parent, like, it's okay, I'm fine. And let's say they bite my arm. I'm waiting, and I'll say, Johnny, you're biting my arm, and this hurts me. And look at how you're indenting my skin, and this hurts. Would you like to bite this? And I'll give them something to bite, like another chew tube, for example.
Oh yeah.
And say, here you go. Like if they're still biting my arm, here you go. Uh-huh. And so, because if he bites my skin and I pull, guess what I'm doing? Giving him more sensory input.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that feels really good when they pull away. I'm gonna hurt myself even more. I've had way too many tetanus shots because at the very beginning of my career, I just pulled. It was just a natural reaction. Yeah. And they would take a chunk of skin and I would have to go get a tetanus shot, and it just was no fun for anyone. Now I just wait. It hurts, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying to do this at home, but this is my way to be able to get a kid to transition from biting me or someone else to biting this. And then I'll even pull. So I'll let them bite, so go ahead and bite on this, and then I'll like pull out and see how that kind of gets that feel, and they're like, ooh, that's the input I want them to have, right? Right? It feels good. And it just gives them enough input. And these grabbies, I can have my hand and I can just pull. I mean, I'm pulling hard, and it gives you a lot of feedback. You know where your jaw is in space, you know where your teeth are in space, and it feels good to do that. So then they're not biting my skin, because that's what they want. They want that, and then the person pulls, and then that's what they're looking for. So I want them to get the good reinforcement from doing this. I know that there's questions going, I can't read them.
Yeah.
But
somebody asked about a Z-Vibe.
Oh yes. I will get to Z-Vibe. I love Z-Vibe, and I'll get to that too, because the Z-Vibe can help too. So we want to transition from human skin to this. Now, if we have kids that actually bite on their...
Somebody else was asking about biting on shirt collars and stuff. I used to do that all the time. Oh. I used to chew on my shirt collars. Oh. I would rip them up with my canines, like they'd get shredded.
So not to freak out parents, but to educate you, when kids will chew on shirts, therapists sometimes will give them like washcloths and other things to chew on. The problem is I have done so many modified barium swallow studies and x-rays with kids, and we will find the lint, like you have your dryer lint rolled up in those pockets in the throat, they get infected. And so I've actually been in modified barium swallow studies and doing bronchs, and we're trying to get all of this lint, and we've pulled out 2 to 4 ounces of shirt lint and towel lint from well-meaning therapists saying, oh, Johnny, you want to chew? Here's a usually it's a washcloth. And basically, well, think about that. I mean, they're chewing, it's just like you're getting that. And so what happens is that, again, it gets stuck in these pockets and it grows bacteria. And then these are the kids who are chronically sick, chronically drooling, chronically having respiratory infections. And throughout my career, I've had it done 10 times. I have pictures of some of my kids where we've gone in and taken that stuff out and just put them in little jars, and so I could show it to people that we want to go to something like this, not let them be on cloth. We want to try to get them to something else. To be able to kind of transition to something a little bit more appropriate. So again, this is much more appropriate than chewing on your shirt sleeve or these. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
What would you call that? Like a shoestring plastic?
These are the best to gnaw.
Oh my gosh.
These are really hard though. I found out. I was like, I'm gonna break my teeth open.
Yes.
This is really hard.
There are so many Chewies in different sensory catalogs that you can get that has that plastic piece that doesn't break off. so that kids can actually chew that, and they come in necklaces.
Really?
So that you can actually just take that necklace and start chewing on it. And now, how much more appropriate is that? You can take the necklace, put it down into your shirt. When you need it, you just pull it out, chew on it, and you can just be really discreet and be able to kind of chew on that and be able to kind of calm your sensory system down. Going back to the Z Vibe, and then I could see you doing questions. I love the Z Vibe. What the Z Vibe is, parents, is this vibrating tool that you can put a spoon on the end or different sensory nubs, and it vibrates, and so a child can again put something in their mouth. It will help with pocketing, so you can have that vibration. You can get this at talktools.com, and it vibrates in their mouth, and so I can put a little vibration in your cheek, and then you know where your cheek is, and then it helps kids to be able to lateralize. So I vibrate that, and I can lateralize and feel it. So it's just enough vibration, kind of like the toothbrush vibration, which you can do this with a toothbrush too, much cheaper, and kind of just go into that cheek, and then Johnny can know where his cheek is in space and continue eating. So that's a really good sensory tool too.
That's really interesting.
Let me see.
What's the link to a shop to get some of these chew things?
So Therapro.com is one, AliMed, ALImed.com, funandfunction.com, talktools.com. Those are all a whole bunch of great resources to find some of these.
This question has come up. It may have been Brittany asking it several times because it's hard sometimes to cycle. Excuse me. Advice on dealing with nonverbal kids and sensory feeding issues.
Okay, so when a child is nonverbal, they are still communicating. And so we can still have a functional conversation with just kind of showing with our body and our nonverbal cues how we're feeling, what we want to do, maybe we're hungry. And so kids are nonverbally expressing things to us. Just like if I was to put some mustard here, you don't say, ew, this is gross. I can tell by the way that you might move back, or the way that you might cover your nose that maybe you don't like that smell. We have to cue into all of those things when our kids are nonverbal because of the fact that they can't tell us how they're feeling. And especially kids, they can't say, hey mom, I'm not feeling very supported in this chair. My feet are dangling. I don't feel very good in space. Instead, they just refuse to eat. Because they have no other choice. They know that their feet are dangling and they can't stay still, and so they're like, I know that I can't hold my breath and keep my breath going to be able to chew this piece of broccoli and keep myself upright, so I'm just not going to eat. I'd rather not eat. Our kids, like I said in other shows, they will always pick breathing over eating, always. So anything that has to compromise their respiratory system, the pocketing, the overstuffing, they will choose to not eat.
Well, it's just like when I remember, when I was a kid and I'd be really stopped up, you can't eat because you're like, how can I breathe?
Right.
So.
And that's a perfect example. Your sensory system, your sense of smell, which is so important in feeding, is a sense of smell. If that's not working properly, or it's overstimulating, the sense of smell is like too much, then, and I have some of my kids with autism that the sense of smell is just so overpowering that they can't eat foods that actually have some smell. So we just put those little nose clips that are for swimming in a pool, and we just put those on, and all of a sudden they weren't picking it.
Really?
It's just because of the fact it's just like smell is too overwhelming. They like the taste of it, but they don't like the smell of it. And smell and taste go together, so it was just enough for them to be able to tolerate to eat that once we took out 50% of that sense. So we have to really look at these nonverbal kids, kind of figure out what might be happening, and it takes some time to be able to do that. One of the things that you can do for a child who's nonverbal is to use other forms of communication. I personally love sign language. There's AAC devices and PEC symbols and a whole bunch of other ways, but my favorite is sign language. So I can tell them that, I want more, and I can do that with their hands and do that and just like, you want some more chips? Okay, here you go. And so that we can start to communicate and have that tactile feedback and get that sense of smell to be like, more, you want some more chips? Okay, here you go. And continue to do that over and over to where they actually will start communicating. And it ends up being this nice, fun thing because especially if the kids like that tactile input, so I can actually squeeze and do different things and like take your hand and go. If they like that tactile input, like, oh, you want some more? Okay, here we go. We're gonna get some more. And then, so then again, now we know where your hand is in space because we're giving some input. And again, you can do a variety of different things. You can use a vibrator on there. You can put it in some squishy sand, anything to kind of get them to want to use their hands more to be able to communicate effectively.
Very good. Very sensible. Trying to read some more. Brittany says he does use PECs and ALD.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And if that's a form of communication that is working for you guys, that's wonderful. Most therapists know about PECs. It's just harder to kind of do that with more of the community.
Are there other products to help introduce new foods? I'll be getting Milton for sure.
Yes, he's so cute, and it comes with a book too. So when I'm talking about sensory products, I love like the sensory spoons. There's also sensory plates that are made out of silicone, like the Easy Peasy Happy Mat that has a lot of, it feels really nice, and a lot of my kids really like that.
You know what else I like is Ooga.
Oh yeah,
Ooga. Their stuff is so good.
Yep, you're right. That does
feels
nice.
That
does feel good. That does feel good.
Ooga baby.
Yes.
I also like Silly Kids.
Yes.
Like
right.
all their silicone. I love silicone
yep,
stuff. They're coming out with a coffee mug. Have you seen it?
Oh no, I haven't.
It's a silicone coffee with the lid. Because it's just like their little cup for drinking. It's got the metal ring in it, so it can't collapse. But I want that so bad.
Yes, I love their straws. It's like really nice. Yeah,
I love Silly Kids.
And a lot of our kids with sensory issues like the feel of that silicone.
Please.
So that's great. Oh, he's going to go get some.
It's not. Where the hell did I put it? Is my question.
So I'll try to see what I have.
You just talk.
Oh, Jamie, you love Easy Peasy. Thank you so much. Something about the grabber, especially for very young kids. Hi, Dawn. I missed it. Silly straw is amazing. Yep. Your son chews so much. It's close up on silly straw. Yes.
This is that glass straw. The straw son.
Oh yes.
I love these straws. They're also really nice and thick, so they're good for smoothies. They don't get clogged. And then this is the Ninu. Do you know the Ninu spoon? It's got legs on it. So when you put it down, it's not. This doesn't get dirty on the table.
Ooh.
It's nice, right?
Ooh. I like that.
And it's like nice and shallow.
Yeah. Yes, I like this bowl. Ooh.
Yeah. It's cute.
That is super cute. I like how small it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
We had them in our baby guy box a couple times.
Oh.
And they're awesome. I like to use it for my coffee.
I really like that.
Because you shouldn't stir your coffee with metal because it changes the flavor of the coffee. Did we know this?
What? I did not know this.
The metal, it's something chemically, it's not anything drastic. Like you'd have to be a big coffee snob to like know about it. But I like to use this for my coffee because you just get a little too sugar.
I love that.
And then
It's super cute.
Yeah.
It's
They come in different colors. Like.
Oh. I think your sister was telling me about this,
Yeah.
and then I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, it's just got little
really
legs
cute.
on it.
Ooh, I love new products.
Ninu.
It's so fun. Yes.
The Ninu spoon.
It's like Ninu.
With little legs. Oh. I had Mork and Mindy suspenders when I was a kid.
I loved Mork and Mindy. Oh,
so good. So what else? What else? I mean, we've been going for over an hour. Quite frankly, I don't care.
Oh. I'm a speech path.
I'm a talker. Footrest chair recommendations. All right, we'll just go to ham on this.
Yes.
That's Stoka Trip Trap.
The Trip Trap is the best.
The Nomi comes out later this year.
Nomi's amazing.
I have both of them right here.
I'm looking at them.
I love it. I think that's one thing, like, whenever I do Gearapaloozas, like, there's not, like, a high chair section, really, but we always have Trip Traps to give away.
Yes.
And when you explain why, I mean, the Trip Trap's 45 years old now or something, and it's like, it really is a remarkable thing, and, like, people use it for generations. It's expensive, but, you know, it is definitely, I would say, in terms of really investing in a product, that chair is one of the best things you can invest in.
If you're a therapist, an occupational therapist, or speech language pathologist writing this, it's an investment for your clinic. I've used mine for 15 years, and It's an investment. I still use it.
Yeah.
It's easy to clean, easy to sanitize between kids. It's just, you can easily move it between, if you have a 2-year-old client and then you have a 4-year-old client, then you have an 8-year-old client. It just, you can move it really easily.
So good.
So
it's so good. But then there are other ways, like, with foot dangling stuff. Like, I know like you like to use like the phone book or whatever, put under their feet to give them something grounding.
Very cheap alternative to making a footrest. Any of the stools that you use to kind of put up towards in the bathroom to have kids be able to get to the sink.
Oh, yeah.
I use those all the time too. Again, those are pretty cheap. An Amazon box with a little bit of duct tape around it, that works. It's really cheap. So those are all really good foot supports.
Advice on throwing food while eating.
Okay, so when kids, so that might be that sensory seeker that we were talking about. Remember, there's kids that are overstimulated, understimulated, or sensory seeking. So if they're taking that food and they're tossing it, they might be really needing that kind of experience to be able to do that. So we can do things depending upon the age of the child, like, you can toss a beanbag, and that language is letting them know what they can do, not what they can't do. If you say, stop throwing, stop throwing, stop throwing, and the kid's like, I'm having a sensory issue, I can't explain this to you, but I feel the need to throw. So, and we're just saying, stop doing it, but I've got this need, what am I going to do? Like, stop biting, you've got this need, what are you going to do? How can we manage that? So if that child needs to throw, I'm like, you can throw the beanbag. Then that feels good. So much better. Now you can eat. He goes to if he needs to throw some more, you can throw a beanbag.
I'm gonna throw that broccoli because I don't like broccoli.
Boom. So again, I say that as a sensory experience, but then parents are like, great, then my kid's gonna be throwing beanbags the whole time and not eating. I mean, there's a balance, right? We want to be able to give children what they need to be able to eat a nutritious meal, but then we also want to balance that, rules and manners and discipline at mealtime too. So it's a balance for sure. But we can find that and be able to give them what they need. So maybe we put one of those socks that we were talking about. So if the child needs to throw one of these seamless socks that has really nice compression, maybe we put that on one of their hands, and then they're not needing to throw. So it's just trying to think outside the box instead of just going, my kid is being a jerk today. Think outside the box and go, maybe there's something sensory related that actually is contributing to this feeding problem.
Thank you. Somebody's like, you have no idea how much this helps us. Thank you. Yay. That's why we're doing it. So when we did our first one of these last year, I learned a lot during these personally, because I've done these with Sherry for a long time. I'm very well versed in the world of the breastfeeding. So this was so new to me. And I was just like, I saw the response to the first one we did. It was insane. And it was just like, oh, she lives here. I live here. We have to find a way to do this, because nobody's doing stuff like this on the internet with feeding. And it's like, I did not realize, how problematic it was.
Yes.
And so it's just about getting the information out there.
Yep, to the public, to let you guys know, and to help parents who are struggling through this. And even in our disciplines, like speech language pathologists, there's only 15% of speech language pathologists that actually specialize in feeding and swallowing disorders. That's not very many. And so, I don't know what the statistics are for occupational therapists, but there's not enough of us out there that are actually doing the therapy, and it's so expensive to get all the training to do multiple feeding conferences. Luckily, I have my own private practice, and so I can, pay to do that. But if you're in the school systems and you're trying to, educate yourself, and, the school budget is very small for continuing ed and sensory and feeding. And if you're starting out in private practice or you're a new grad, it's really hard to get this education, because these things cost thousands of dollars to be able to go and get trained in this. And even some of these therapy products, these are expensive. This is this is really expensive, and I spend a lot of money on buying sensory toys for kids, because I also it also has to be something that I can clean and sanitize and use with multiple kids. So to do that, it really does become.
And you go to conferences all year. You were just in one in Philly, right? Philly. So, it's a continuing
Right.
education
Right.
situation.
And new products are coming out all the time. Like I've never seen that spoon before, and it's adorable. It's new products are coming out so quickly that you have to really be in it to see what's next and new and fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I think we're about good. We've been going for about an hour and a half.
Okay.
So thank you all for hanging out. I love doing these because I get to hang out with this lady over here.
So fun, so fun.
But I like a Facebook Live. I really do. I really do.
Me too.
So thank you for driving over in the snow.
Yes. It was like a blizzard driving over here. It was crazy.
But I am happy we have snow.
Yes, me too. Snow makes me happy. So it's my sensory system. I love snow. I love the barometric pressure.
Yeah.
It feels so good to me. I sleep so good.
Me too. It's like it feels clean to me. Snow feels clean.
Yes. So. And our kids with sensory issues love barometric pressure too. So find out if if it's in your area it just rained or it just snowed, and the kids really respond to that because it gives them that sensory feeling.
Interesting. So yeah, thank y'all for hanging out. We have it scheduled for next month. I can't remember when it is, but obviously we'll post about it.
Yes.
No, we do this Q&A every month. Every month.
Once a month, and it's on different days and different throughout the month because of our travel schedule.
Yeah,
so
it's all just wonky. It's a wonky travel schedule.
Yeah.
Like my May. I don't even know. My May,
it's crazy.
I leave here on the 2nd, and I don't really get back to my apartment until the 25th.
Wow.
May is not cute.
Yeah, no.
But I'm going to get those miles. I'm going to get those miles. I'm going to maintain my status, and I'm going to get all my segments. All my miles and all my segments.
And if any of you want more information or an all-day exposure to my teaching with autism and sensory, my next course is an all-day course about autism and feeding, and it's September 22nd and 23rd is the Autism Society of America's conference in Arizona, and it's based in Phoenix, and I'm doing an all-day course on autism and sensory and feeding. So you can check out Autism Society of America Phoenix chapter, and I'll be posting about it too, and you can come and as a parent or a professional and learn all things feeding regarding children with autism.
Yeah, so make sure you're following her on the Facebook and the Instagram. These videos you can rewatch. They're in the video section on Facebook. When I have time, it takes some time to upload an hour video to YouTube. So I do save all of these.
Okay. Eventually
I'm going to put them, I'm going to put them on the YouTube. Great. It just takes time. So, I have the hiccups now. That's great.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And we know that autism and sensory issues is such a wonderful, beautiful way to kind of celebrate and talk about it for Autism Awareness Month. So if you know of a mom or a parent or a family member that's struggling with this, send them to the Facebook page and so that they can watch this later.
Yeah, that's why we do this. So thank you all. See you. We'll be here again next month or somewhere else doing it. I don't know. Right? It's right. May.
Yes, May.
I don't know when it's May. Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Crazy.
May is rough. So,
thank
you all.
Good night.
I'm going to turn this off now.